Well, today we continue in our journey through the Word, and today is, excuse me, today is day 109 in our journey as we continue through the Word. It's hard to believe we've been doing this 109 days, but God continues to show me new things every day, and I hope He does the same for you as well. Um, I want to start today looking at two words out of the dictionary for starting. One of them is gloating, and it's defined as to look at or to think about with great or excessive, often smug or malicious or satisfaction. Gloating. Often smug or malicious satisfaction. The other word is humility. Modest opinion or estimate of one's own importance, one's own rank. Humility. We saw today the death of Saul, and God had already told him that was going to happen. Even in yesterday's reading, we saw where he calls Samuel back, and Samuel says, "Why did you call me back?" And it was because he was so fearful. And Samuel told him that tomorrow you and your sons will join me. Will join me. But when David received that word, we don't see him standing and saying, "It's about time. He had been trying to kill me for years. He got what he deserved. I have been the anointed one, and yet Saul has lived in my palace." We didn't see David doing that. We didn't see his men doing that. We see no celebrations. We see no gloating over the death of Saul. We see no smug or malicious satisfaction over the death of Saul. Nothing malicious. No satisfaction. David and his men mourned for Saul and for Jonathan. David lost his very best friend in Jonathan that day. He also lost one of his, what I would call, and use the word enemy. David didn't consider him an enemy, but Saul considered David one. We see, though, in David's funeral song for Saul and Jonathan, a man of humility. He wrote, "Oh, how the mighty heroes have fallen." And again, he's writing about Saul. He's writing about the man that continued to pursue him, wanting to kill him. And he knew Saul well because he had sat at his table. But he wrote, how the mighty heroes have fallen. How do we respond to the downfall and defeat of our enemies? There's another word, another phrase he wrote in that funeral song. He said, "How beloved and gracious were Saul and Jonathan." I wanted to write back and say, did you not, David, just live what we just read? And him, having living in fear of Saul. But he wrote, "How the beloved and gracious were Saul and Jonathan." I had to wonder, how do we respond to the downfall and defeat of those that want to do us harm, to our enemies? Do we celebrate? Do we gloat? Do we find satisfaction? Do we say, "They got what they deserve. Look how they treated me, and others for so long. Good for them." Sadly, too often that's our response. In sin, that is our response. I think we have a lesson to learn here, because we need to remember, and these words out of Romans 12:19, where it says, "Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, And David had every right, and he had every opportunity with Saul to avenge himself. But he knew Saul was God's anointed one, and he never forgot that, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will I will repay, saith the Lord. It's God's. God is the judge. God is the one who disciplines. That is not ours. And it's not ours to celebrate the demise of others, because lest we forget, what we're taught in here and what we know is we are all sinners and have fallen short of the glory of God. We all deserve punishment. And when we stumble and fall, there'll be those who might celebrate that. But we should not model that. We should model what we saw in David. I'm reminded today, as I conclude with these thoughts, is when I don't know what to do, I have to go to God and ask, and then wait patiently. I need to be like David and not like Saul. I need to be patient and wait upon the Lord. I need to be of good courage, and he will strengthen mine heart, and I will say, he is my God. He is my King. And I can hold my head high before him, not in pride, for pride would be wrong, but humbly hold my head high because I have done what he has asked me to do. I have responded as he has asked me to respond. And when I fail, and I do too often, I don't wait, or I gloat too often, then I must go to God and repent of my sins. For that's not what he's called me to do. That's not what he's called you to do. So there's a reminder today that we might be more like David in our waiting upon the Lord, in our response to the bad things that happen to our enemies. Let us be the light that shines brightly, the light of Christ in our hearts and in our lives. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you again tomorrow as we continue our journey through the